afternoon and welcome back. This is US Home Talk. We are live every Wednesday at noon and on demand at ushometalk.com or wherever you guys find your podcasts. We are your hosts, Marcus Walgrave with the South Dakota Home Team, powered by Hague Realtors, Jason Walgrave with the Walgrave Real Estate Group at RE/MAX Advantage Plus, and Mike Overson with Luminate Bank. We'll be taking all of your guys' questions here during today's show, anything and everything real estate. Our call-in number is 612-234-7585. Again, that's 612-234-7585. Or leave us a message in the comments section on Facebook. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are we doing today?
Doing fantastic.
Fantastic. We got Florida weather up here in Minnesota this week, and I'm loving it.
It's gonna be like 90 on Sunday. Was it? I think 90 or something.
You got 90 coming on Sunday, which is, I mean, for May, 90 in May that's a pretty big deal for us up here.
That's a cooker.
No complaints. No complaints.
No. I'm gonna be spending about 6 hours out on the football field, so I'm gonna have to get my tent set up. I'm gonna have to get my sunscreen. I might even get my my air conditioner. I got a portable air conditioner that I bring to events.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I'm that guy.
Baby mode. Sometimes you gotta
call
stay
it my
cool,
masseuse. Gotta call it my masseuse and see if I can get a massage during that game. All that sitting is gonna get my muscles sore.
You know, on a positive note, it does sound like it's going to be a dry heat. So
That is true.
So maybe more Arizona weather than it is going to be Florida weather.
Yes.
Yeah, true. I see Jason. He's gonna hire two people, like two kids, $10 an hour to fan him while he's watching the flag football games. The big like feather fanners or whatever.
Yeah.
Just
You gotta do what you gotta do when it gets hot out, right?
Yeah.
kind of like
Speaking
a
of
real
hot,
estate market.
Speaking of hot,
It
it is. I tell you what, man, the spring market. You read some of the national news, and I mean, you'll definitely catch a couple stories. You know, the story titles, and kind of making the comment about how our spring market is a little bit sluggish. You know, and I think that's you got to understand the importance of that every market's a little bit different, right? You know, we were talking before the show about, you know, maybe some of the market down in Florida is a really good buyer's market. You know, and there's definitely regions throughout the nation that are going to be a buyer's market or a seller's market. You just got to make sure that you're getting relevant information for the market that you're trying to achieve your real estate goals in. So make sure you kind of know what you're getting and who you're getting it from. If they're experts, make sure my phone's on silent. Don't want that to go off. And so, but today we are going to be talking about inventory. And I mean, I know we've been talking a lot about inventory, historically low inventory. And yes, we still have low inventory, right, guys? I mean, it's low up in the Twin Cities area. It's low in the Sioux Falls, the Sioux Empire area, the Sioux Falls, South Dakota area. However, our inventory is improving from this year than it did last year. And that is definitely what is trending and forecasting, that we are going to have this increasing inventory. So you guys are having that same inventory increase up there.
So I would say that's kind of a trick question / statement. Is inventory up? It's up. But even though it's up, we're still very, very much down. And I mean, we have a very low inventory compared to what we would consider as a balanced market. And so, you know, that's not going to change for a number of years. And I mean, I don't know when we're going to get back to, you know, the days of 25,000 listings, you know, and it just, so, but you make a great point, Marcus. You see news articles and you see headlines and, you know, inventory's up, and it's like, well, what exactly is up? Is it up 5% from last year? Okay, well, what does that really mean? Well, that doesn't really mean a whole lot because the overall inventory is very, very low. And so market specific, of course, like you said, Marcus, you know, I think there's opportunities in some areas that you would define as a buyer's market, but for the most part, there's still an overall low inventory when you compare it to what a balanced market would look like throughout the United States. So, but spring market is here and it's hot. There's no doubt about that. Holy smokes. I mean, Overson was doing a pre-approval for a buyer of mine at 10:40 on Sunday night, and so there certainly is not a lack of opportunities for buyers, and even though the inventory is low, and I mean, man, we're busy. We're busier than last year. We're on pace to do quite a bit more than we did last year as far as sales go. And so very, very grateful that we have that much going on and that we get to service and help that many buyers and sellers.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do we get when we have rising inventory, right? I think that's, to your point exactly, Jason, we're talking historically in comparison. Yes, our inventory is down, but if you're somebody who's looking to get into the real estate market today, you don't really care what was going on in 2000 because it doesn't do you anything. That was in the past. You can't go back there. You don't get to play in that game, and you sure as heck don't get to do. It's super hard to forecast future. So what you have is today, right? You have it today to capitalize on any of the opportunities, like you'd mentioned, Jason, and so, and the reason why I'm making that comment, and maybe it was a little bit, exaggerating the time frames, but what I do see and what I'm experiencing here in the Sioux Falls, South Dakota market are people are still trying to use experiences that they heard about or they experienced themselves in 2020, 2021, 2022. And that's just not we are in a different market than that time. When we have rising inventory, one of the nice things, if you're a buyer out there, one of the rising inventory perks is that you have more selections. You have more opportunity. You can go out, you can see a larger number of homes. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, Jason. You mentioned about how you had some clients who were like, let's go take a third look, right? And so, buyers are being selective. Yeah. They're not simply saying, hey, it's in the neighborhood we want to be in. It's got the beds, it's got the best, the rest of it, we don't care. We just want to buy a house. That's not the case anymore. They have boxes that are their search criteria has expanded beyond beds, baths, square feet. They want some amenities as well. And so, that's something just to be aware. If you're a buyer out there, yes, you're going to have, increasing inventory, rising inventory. So, you're going to be in a good position. And if you're a seller out there, you also just need to understand buyer behavior in your market.
Oh, that's a great point, Marcus. And good example of that is I'm negotiating a deal right now, and it's my buyer, so I'm representing the buyer. And it looks like we're going to get a contingent offer accepted, and so you go back a year, you got a 50-50 chance that's going to happen. You go back 2 years, not going to happen. Sellers aren't even considering contingent offers. Now, granted, we provided information that makes the sellers comfortable that, yeah, we're going to price it right. We've got a marketing plan that's going to sell it quick. And so the contingency it's not a big risk for the seller, because of everything we're going to do. But again, you go back 2 years, that's not even an option on the table, and you go, or even inspections a couple of years ago, go back 2-3 years and, good luck asking for an inspection and getting that accepted. So, so there's definitely, there's benefits for buyers when the inventory goes up, however much it goes up. And that, really equates into, sellers accepting, more contingencies and, especially inspections. I mean, it's been a while since we've done a deal where there wasn't an inspection in the offer, and now contingencies are being considered and contingent of homes being sold. So I think it's a great market for buyers, and I think that there's opportunities today that there weren't a year ago. And Marcus, you make a phenomenal point. With the exception of Overson being able to predict what the interest rates will be this summer and next fall and this coming winter. With the exception of that, we don't know what's going to happen, and we can't go back and take advantage of past opportunities. All we got is today. And so I think there's opportunities there, and I think that it's a good time to be buying.
We talk about sellers, right? And you're talking about just in terms of the offer. The offer that they're seeing is different than it was a couple of years ago, 2, 3, 4 years ago. And when you are a seller, don't get it mistaken, sellers. If you're in the Twin Cities or the Sioux Falls, South Dakota market, this is a great time to be a seller. And when we look at like the median sale prices in our markets year over year, they have increased every year. Even last year and the year before, they may have been closer to more of like the historical average, but increased nonetheless. And buyers are still coming to our markets wanting to be a part, put down their roots in our markets. So great time to be a seller. However, when you do have rising inventory and you're a seller, you might just need to be prepared to do things like reduce your list price. If you haven't had an acceptable offer in 3-4 weeks and you've been on the market, that might be one of those situations and we're seeing that sellers are reducing their original list price in the market that I'm in, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and or they're accepting concessions, to where maybe a buyer might be in a position where they have great credit score, but they're just low on cash. Maybe they just graduated recently and they just need some concessions to help towards their closing costs and prepaid items. Sellers are open to that right now. So you write up a good offer, but it has concessions. They see that and they say, yep, we're going to move forward with this. So what I'm seeing in the rising inventory of the Sioux Falls, South Dakota market is, sellers are starting to reduce some list prices and or accept some concessions towards the buyer. So.
Yeah, we're also seeing a fair amount of incentives coming from the national builders, and big. Whether it's closing costs or free amenities. I mean, there's a lot of, especially for the nationals that have got these spec homes sitting out there. I think there's some great opportunity with that. But we're also seeing with existing. I mean, Mike and I saw a deal that the seller was offering $20,000. Part of the marketing, they're offering $20,000 towards closing costs and rate buy down. And so you didn't see that last year or the year before, so no. I think that it's a really good real estate market right now for both buyers and sellers. There's opportunities on both sides, and I hope the inventory continues to grow, for buyers, because you just have more options and more homes to look at. But yeah, we're steaming ahead at a hot pace right now. So,
yeah, I think the type of rising inventory we have up here in the Midwest is it's an inventory level that is swinging things a little bit closer to what's normal, right? Mm-hmm. So what's normal would be you're able to get your offer accepted with an inspection contingency, right? Maybe you can get the seller to pitch in for some of your closing costs, like that, swinging towards a normal deal.
Yeah. Good point.
But we're not at an inventory level where home prices are going to drop. Like, you're going to see depreciation across the board. Certain situations, yeah, someone might overprice their house right out of the gate, right, and have to drop it to get to where the market would bear for it, or something like that. But in general, if you look at our values today or what homes are selling for today, and you go 6 months to 12 months down the road, they're for sure going to sell for more 6 months to 12 months down the road here in our market. Now, yeah. I'm working with some Florida buyers right now and some Arizona buyers right now. It's a different story down there, especially Florida. It's a buyer's market down there, right? Mm-hmm. Sellers, almost every seller down there, it seems like, is dropping their price, and they're trying to throw something out there, and they're trying to get a buyer to act. And I was just talking to the real estate agent down there, and she's like, it's almost the opposite of what Minnesota is, because she's licensed in both. She goes back and forth. And she's just like, it's just different down here, right? We can go in there, we can undercut it. Like, she was gonna, there's a house listed for $250 in a 55 plus community down there, and she's like, we're probably gonna start at $220. and I bet we'll get it for 225 to 230. You know, so they're going to end up at probably 10% under the list price as far as their final price on that buyer. Arizona, it's pocketed down there. The one report I saw was a 55 plus community down there as well. Other non 55 plus is still appreciating down in Arizona, but the 55 plus for some reason is coming down right now as far as values go. So
yeah, when you're talking about Arizona, we've got a new agent, new to the team. He's not a new agent. Ed Haddish has been in the business longer than I have, which is,
I mean, that's
over 100
dirt.
years.
Long time.
But Ed is now our connection to Arizona. So, folks, if you got anybody that's looking to buy or sell in that Phoenix and greater Phoenix area, let us know. We'll set you up with Ed and he'll take great care of you. But yeah, he moved down there and I think they bought their second home down there 2-3 years ago. And then he's been going back and forth. And then finally this year, he's like, I'm not coming back.
Yep.
he just loves the weather. So
that's when you text him our weather this weekend. Be like, oh,
exactly.
that's what we got going on.
Yeah,
90,
and
no big deal.
And it's dry.
And it's a dry heat. But when we talk about rising inventory too, guys, you guys made the comment about the builder, Jason, and again, I mean, you have to break it down to like what you're trying to achieve in real estate, what market you're looking to buy in, what sector of real estate you're into. When you look at like new construction to pre-existing or owner occupied, however you guys define it, those are going to have different inventories, right. And our builders have been a big driving force to, how we are continuing to see this increase in median sale price. One, it costs them a little bit more to build that same house. The building material is a little bit more expensive. Labor is a little bit more expensive. Buyers are still buying their products. So those are end up being, sold comps that can be used down the road, and so, they're driving that for us. But if you're in a market where maybe the new construction inventory is extremely high, well, then that makes sense where you're going to start seeing some of these, very large incentives, sellers, you're a pre-existing seller, your competition in a lot of cases is new construction. So if your competition is offering, an impressive incentive package, then, you kind of have to follow suit and do the same if you want to get your house under contract. So rising in inventory, we definitely need it here in the U.S. I don't think anybody can argue that it will become a healthier real estate market the more inventory that we have on the market. Maybe the days of gangbusters for the sellers is over. Those days might not come back, but I wouldn't be concerned about it. It's still a great market for sellers as well. Balance is always best for everybody. Buyers are going to get better deals. Sellers are going to get good deals, honest deals, fair deals. So, rising inventory is a good thing. And, we're starting to see it. So
one of the things to consider in this type of market, if you're a seller, is it becomes increasingly more important to hire a top agent or team to market and advertise your home in order to sell it for the highest amount in the quickest time, right? And so it is, we're going to talk about this stat all year, guys, but remember last year in 2024, 74% of licensed real estate agents sold 0 homes. Zero. I mean, it's such an extraordinary stat. So as a seller, especially as a seller, I mean, there needs to be a strategy. There needs to be a marketing plan. How, you should be asking the agents that you're interviewing, how are you going to sell my home? What are you going to do? What's the plan? And if the plan is, put a sign in the yard and pop it on the MLS and hope it sells, that's not a very good plan. That's not a very good plan. So,
and your pictures on the MLS are from a flip phone from
flip phone.
Goodness.
From 1999. You know what I mean? You could just tell like some of these listings, and I still floors me. Like I still see listings out there where it's like you clearly took this from the seat of your car out your window with your cell phone
while you were driving.
While you were driving, right?
You didn't even stop.
Yeah, it's like what? what are you doing? Come on.
You're not doing your
better
job.
than that. You're better than that. Like, I just want to say, reach out and be like, come on, you're better than that. Right? Just floored me. I can't believe it. Apparently they're not better than that. So,
well, we got to do at some point here, Evan. You wanna pull up your fancy visuals for our legal minute by chance? Whenever you're ready, you just give the sign.
You just keep talking, and then I'll bud back in.
Yeah, buddy, that's what I'm.
Completely forgot to upload.
So one thing I will mention too, though, is we are talking about a little bit rising inventory up here in Minnesota. I'm sure Marcus probably sees this in Sioux Falls, maybe not as much, but up here, like when we have more inventory come on in the spring, right? Let's say like a normal like listing, let's say 500 new listings come on per week, right? In the spring though, we get 1,200 new listings that come on each week, right? Yeah. We have enough buyers, right, that are eating those up. So at the end of so if on a normal week it's 500, right? We have 400 buyers out there eat up those homes, right? There's 100 left at the end of the week. Okay. Now in the spring, when we get 1,200 listings, we have 1,100 buyers eat up those 12, and we got 100 left at the end of the week. So yeah, it's like there's more houses out there, but we have the buyers to eat those up. So our net, our net amount of listings at the end of the week is really no different than like what a normal week is, because it's like as more homes come out of the woodwork and get listed, well, those buyers that are watching, right, that have been watching their MLS searches and things like that, waiting for houses to come on. I mean, there's so many buyers stacked up. I mean, if you saw my desk right now, I got piles of pre-approved buyers that are just watching, right? And they're waiting. They're in the woods. They're like that tiger muskie in the weeds waiting for that bluegill to come by, right? It's like, so
you know you're musky.
I do know my muskies. So, in Florida, it's a different situation down there. They have 1,200 listings come on in a particular market down there. Maybe they only have 600 buyers that come and eat it up. So there's 600 net at the end of the week. You know what I mean? And so that's why their net inventory level is increasing faster than ours, because they just don't have the amount of buyers down there to eat it up like we do on a week-to-week basis.
Marcus, I was
go ahead, sorry.
I was impressed. So my son Theodore and I stayed with Marcus and his family a few weeks ago, and so we stayed, and there's this development right next to Marcus. You can see it right out his amazing views. But this is Sioux Falls. I love Sioux Falls, and I love South Dakota. I love the Sioux Empire. So many really cool things about it, and so I'm looking at it, and I'm asking Marcus. I'm like, God, those are really nice lots. I mean, you got like incredible views. They sit high, and and I'm thinking in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this is Sioux Falls, so these got to be pretty good deals on these lots. Like Marcus, how much is that lot right there? And he's like, oh, that one's $500,000, and I'm like, does that include the house? And no, that was just the lot. And he's like, well, that one there, that's a $2 million lot, and so I was super impressed with where the luxury real estate market has come in Sioux Falls. I mean, there's some incredible luxury builders, custom builders, and these lots are, I mean, they got $1 million views without a question. So I just had to mention that because it was impressive, really, really cool thing to see.
And we didn't have that type of inventory, 30 years ago. Mm-mm. So, Jason, that's a great observation.
10 years ago, or even 10 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of like maybe the start of it. There was some of that stuff happening, but yeah, I mean, it's and that's when we talk about inventory. You got to know where it's headed, where it's at. If you have that information, you're going to be able to make better decisions. At this time, Jason, I think we better do our legal minute.
All right.
This is Jeff O'Brien, attorney with Hush Blackwell with the U.S. Home Talk Legal Minute. Did you know that an unrecorded mortgage results in the lender having only an unsecured claim in the bankruptcy? Late recordings completed within the 90 days prior to bankruptcy may also be avoided. The Bankruptcy Code sets up a 30-day safe haven within which to record following the transaction. Recording an incorrect legal description, including just a typo, may also result in avoidance of the mortgage. The Bankruptcy Court looks to Minnesota law to determine if a bona fide purchaser of real estate may avoid prior conveyances that have not been recorded in accordance with the law. In Minnesota, whether a trustee qualifies qualifies as a bona fide purchaser turns on whether there is constructive or implied notice of the creditor's interest. The Minnesota Supreme Court has held that both a tract and grantor-grantee index search are required to be a bona fide purchaser. The bankruptcy courts also require that the legal description not be inaccurate, so that if further searching was done from the grantor-grantee index, the mortgage on the correct property could be found. Because of the many possible pitfalls, lenders should always confirm that their mortgages include accurate legal descriptions and are properly recorded within 30 days of a closing. This is Jeff O'Brien, attorney with Hush Blackwell with the U.S. Home Talk Legal Med.
I'll tell you what, man, if you are in need of a real estate attorney, Jeff O'Brien is your guy. I mean, it's, this one we just listened to, I was following a good portion of it, but there's things about that I was not aware of and I did not know. So it's pretty impressive, his depth of knowledge in real estate law.
Yeah, he makes Einstein look like a someone who only graduated third grade math, or past third grade math. That's how smart Jeff O'Brien is.
I can't disagree.
Right?
Cannot disagree.
I mean, if you think you're smart, right? Or if you got like the family member that's like they're like the know-it-all and stuff like that.
Yep.
Go have a beer with Jeff O'Brien, right? And then just have Jeff just talk all this legal jargon, and I guarantee your know-it-all family member will feel dumb after that.
But we're not trying to make anybody feel dumb, Mike.
No.
Yeah.
Unless
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 you got that family member that you're just like,
can't do
you're
it
not
anymore.
a know-it-all, right? We've all been there. We all got that person.
Yes.
Before we took our break there, we were talking about buyers kind of eating up inventory, and now I'm just going to shoot you guys a stat here that I'm sure you'll find interesting. This is from the Realtor Association of the Sioux Empire. Data coming straight from the MLS. So new listings year to date, we were up 7.4% through the first quarter. Pending sales, we were up 66% pending sales.
Dang.
So yes, so that's kind of where that inventory, to your point exactly, Mike. If you have a market where you have a stack full of buyer files, when inventory does new listings hit the market, if they're outpacing the year before, but the buyers have compounded into this impressive number, well, then that might be one of those situations where, yes, we are getting new listings, but inventory is still down or below simply because there's so many buyers looking to get into that market. So just wanted to go off of that comment you made about buyers eating up property. So definitely is happening in certain markets.
Yep.
With that being said, guys, as always, when our show comes to an end here, we just want to thank everybody who tunes in and listens to us, whether it's live on Facebook or if you guys are hopping on our website at ushometalk.com. You can find today's show, or you can find all of our past shows as well on there, or wherever you guys find your podcasts. This is Marcus Walgrave, Jason Walgrave, Mike Overson, and have yourself a blessed week.